Hey Jackal! In today's video, I'll show you how to make this kind of effect in DaVinci Resolve in 3 ways. Now let's get digital. We'll take a look at this effect. It's not exactly what was needed, but I think it looks cool. So to make this effect, you'll go to the media pool, right click, make a new fusion composition, make it, put this onto the timeline, and you can also extend the duration if you want. You can right click and go to change clip duration. You have 15 seconds, or you can input a custom value, maybe 10 seconds. Then select the clip and go into the fusion page. Now we will obviously need a text. So we need a text. Type something in, maybe duplicate color, connect it. And what we want is now to duplicate this text. With this node selected, the next node will get added automatically. If the node is not selected, you'll have to edit yourself. So shift space to open the select tools, type in duplicate, add. You can then hold and drag the node, press shift and hold it. Once the blue line appears, release the mouse button to connect the duplicate node or any other node. So now inside the duplicate node, we can specify how many duplicates we want. In the copies section, currently we have 2 copies, but we only see 1 text. So let's simply adjust the center Y position, and we see we have 2 texts or 2 copies. So we can increase this value. You can use a whole value, and you should, but you can also have a decimal value if you want the last element to not be fully visible. So let's maybe go with 6 copies, adjust the center position. So we can add maybe 1-2 copies more for a total of 8. This will depend on the text that you have, not the text itself, but the font and the size. In this case, with the default open sans bold size 0.08, I can have 8 copies in the duplicate node. And let's set this offset value of y to 0.44 so that it's a nice number without too many decimals. So this is what we want at the end for the bottom section. So we can go maybe to the end of the clip. Now this will be a long clip, so maybe just I'll go to frame 100, make this the end of the animation, keyframe the center X and Y values. But now I'll go to the beginning, maybe frame 20, and put the Y value back to 0.5. And now I'll have the animation. I still don't have any color change, but that will come in a moment. Now what I'll do is I'll copy this node, so Ctrl C, but now you have to right click and use paste instance. If you just use paste, this will not work as intended because you will not have the properties connected, which is indicated by every green field in the instanced node. So connect the text to the instance duplicate. We should see the exactly same thing as in the original node because this is an instance of it, but not what we want to do is go to the center position, right click, and the instance these values. Now we want the beginning to be in the center, so this is okay, but we want the ending animation, which we can go down here, but an easier way to jump to the keyframes is simply to click on the keyframe arrow. So this is the last keyframe, and what we want to do is change this value. Now in the original duplicate node, this value changed by 0.06. So if you want to have the same result but in the opposite direction, we simply have to type here 0.56. So this is now okay, but something is not working correctly. This node is now also showing the same result. Is that the case? It is, but it shouldn't be the case. Let me use Ctrl Z. Did I not de-instance the values? I did. So in this case, what I'll do is basically not instance the duplicate nodes, just make a copy of it. So this is how the result should look like. One duplicate node will go up, the other one will go down. The issue with this approach though, because the nodes are now not instanced, is when we make changes to the color. You won't make changes to the color in the text node because every text will be the same. So what you want is to go to a duplicate node, and I will, let's see, go to the jitter, and I will pin it and go to the second duplicate node, also go to the jitter, and what I'll do is I will open the gain, go to duplicate 1, put in equals to the red, green and blue gain channels and connect them to the red, green and blue channels of, in this case, duplicate 1 node. So now when I make changes to just one channel, it will also affect the channels in the other duplicate node. Otherwise, I would have to make the exact same changes in both nodes. But if you have this instanced, this is already done for you, so you don't have to make any changes. So this is how you'll change the color. And all you'll have to do is change the seed. But in this case, you also have to type in equals and connect this to the seed above. So you only need to make changes once. And simply adjust the values until you get something that looks nice. So the animation can look like this. To then spice it up a little bit, we can add a glow node at the end. We'll have to display it. So in the glow node, and we can now unpin the duplicate nodes. In the glow node, adjust the glow size and the glow values, and you can also adjust the color scale. And this will affect individual colors. After it, you could also add some soft glow. You'll also have to adjust the threshold and the gain to get something that looks nice. And you can also add a background node. And with the node selected, Ctrl T, so switch between these two inputs. So this is how that can look like on a black background, so you can more easily adjust the glows and see how it will actually look. Now what I have done is in the text, you can also go to shadings, enable the second one, which is the outline, enable it. You can change the color. I've changed this to white. And what I have also done is I've changed this to outside only. Maybe not really visible that much, but you can adjust the thickness and also change the line type or the line style. In this case, I've used dot. And you can animate the thickness, which can also add to the animation. So you can maybe go to frame 20, which is the beginning of the animation. Animate the thickness. In the middle, this will increase in value. And then at the end of the animation, this can go back down to 0. You could also animate the glows just before it reaches the end. You can increase the glow and then drop it down a bit. Now I've just remembered that I've done something different when it comes to duplicate nodes, so you can actually make an instance of it. So let me copy this one, paste an instance of it, and see if this will actually fix the issue. So now this will be connected to here. Now I think you still remember that previously I had issues when I've changed the center position of one. The other one was actually still somehow instanced. So what I will do now in this one, I will de-instance this as I have done previously. So I will right click here, make an expression. So now I have two hard values, as you can see. So 0.5 is the x and 0.44 is the y. But what I actually want to do is have the final value to be at 0.56, so it will move up. and the beginning value will be 0.5, so it's in the center like this one. So what I will do is simply call the y values of this duplicate node. So I will use this value to calculate the offset of the other duplicate node. And to do that, I'll go with 1 minus, I'm using 1 because I have to subtract, and to get the y value of this one, this is duplicate node 1, so duplicate 1 dot, then you have center dot, and this will be the y position that I want to look at, so dot capital Y. So at the beginning I do now have 0.05, and yeah, as you can see, this now works as it should have, even when the center position is the instance, but for some reason it is not, so you can use this simple expression to get around that issue. So now with this, you actually don't need to have all of these keyframed and connected with expressions. I can simply remove it, as you can see, also this one, and I can simply change the values in this node. Let me display this one. So I can change the values in this node, and it will also change the values below, or I can change the values in this one. As you can see, these are all instanced, so I can change everything, and the values in the original duplicate node will also change. Now let's just quickly take a look at the original settings in this one, how I've gotten to this awesome result. So the jitter, I actually didn't change any of the gain. How did I get the color then? I see, this one. Now this is one way how you can do it to get random colors by using the gain in the jitter. Now I don't really like this result, so I'll change this to how it was, back to 0, so white color. We may still need to use the random seed, I'll see, I'll put it to 0 also, but you can go to controls, gain, and change the gain here to get a different kind of result that fades out. So this is something similar that you saw in the beginning video, and we can now change the gain here to make the middle text pop out. And why is the gain bigger here than the other gains? Well, that is because this duplicate text appears twice, one for the duplicate node and one for this duplicate node. Let me maybe just fix the glow at the end, so it really pops out when the animation stops. So let's see, glow size, no, maybe in the soft glow, increase the gain, so we can just adjust the gain a little bit. So keyframe this value, before that this can be 0, and after it we can lower this value down a little bit, maybe to something like this. So you can have an end result that can look something like this. I'll just shorten the duration of this vision composition and make the other approaches inside this one as well. And this time what I'll do is show you how to actually have text that changes between colors and doesn't have the same color. So again, we need a text node, and this time I will use 3 text nodes. So this will be the text. I will make 2 copies of it. Since I'll have 2 copies and I'm using DaVinci Resolve 18.6, so this was added in 18.5, I believe, the multi-merge, I can simply use this. Now if you use multi-merge, you will want to use a background node with this one, and first connect it to the back, then we can connect all of the text nodes, and I'll show you why in a bit. Otherwise you can connect the text nodes individually using the merge node, but you'll have multiple merges in that case, just like this one. So that is not what I want. And connect this one. Now the first thing that I want to do is change the color. So we can change the individual colors and also display the multi-merge. Now the reason why I have connected the background node to the multi-merge is because of the layered list. As you can see, I do see 3 nodes. I don't actually see the background node. So anything that is connected to the background, you don't see. So in this case, I do want to make some changes to the text nodes. So the background node has been connected to the background of the multi-merge. And now with the text layer selected, I can change the size, change the position, and all the other goodies. Now in this case, let's say that this will be center text. This one will maybe go down. So 0.44, just like before, and the top one will be 0.56. Now I could position this one to the bottom, and it will be then at 0.38, like so. But we'll have an issue when we add duplicate nodes. So I will now simply copy this section. So again, this is the original duplicate node. Let me position it up. Goes from the center position. And in this case, it ends at 0.44. If I connect this and display it, and let me just change the gain. And also the number of copies. I'll just use 3 copies because I now have 3 texts. And also, let's see, maybe I now have to change the center position. I do. So in this case, maybe 0.32 would be the final value for the animation. And we still need to change the beginning of the animation because we have all of the 3 texts visible, but we only want 1. Now in this case, the animation goes down. And in the other case, it will go up. So that is okay. And the math value is still working as intended. But we'll have some issue. And maybe let me just make this change to have 2 copies. Now the issue that we have with this approach, with placing both of the texts down, is that we now have less space at the bottom than what we have at the top. So this is why you position one text down and the other one you position up, like so. If we take a look now, you can see that the screen is in the center and you have the same amount of space on the top as we have on the bottom. So let me now put this back to 3 copies. And we have the same amount of space, as you can see. Now to fix the beginning of the animation, so we can start at this point. In the multi-merge, you will select the layers that you have made the position changes to. Keyframe the value where you want this to be the final frame. Maybe this will be frame 30. Keyframe the values. And on frame 20, this will be the beginning, so both values will be in the center. So this is how you can change the text color with multiple nodes, 2 duplicates, and then we can simply add the glow nodes at the end as we had before. Now what I have done to get the same result is actually use just one text node, but I have made some changes. So let's go with one text node, type something in. I'll simply copy this text and paste it twice. Change the line spacing to bring it close together, maybe something like that. I will now copy the duplicate nodes, connect them just like so. So we have a similar result as before. Let me just do something with the text. So select the text node. You will now want to right click inside. Go to character level styling. You have to have the node selected when you do this. Go to the modifiers. If the node is not selected, then you won't be able to select the text. And maybe before we do this change, to have an easier time selecting, just change the line spacing back to how it was. And maybe don't display the duplicate nodes so you can actually see which text you're selecting. Select the text, change the color, You could also change the color of just a section. I'll change the line spacing back to how it was. Now that you have the colors done, we also have the issue of all of the text being visible all of the time, and we need to animate this so we only see one text at the beginning. So we'll go back to the tools, to the text, and let's say that this will start on frame 20. The only thing that we need to change is the line spacing. So let's say that the animation of the line spacing will end on frame 30, keyframe the value. The beginning will be on frame 20, so this will be line spacing 0. So we have this animation done, and we only need to display the duplicate nodes. And this is how that can be done. Simply copy the glow nodes, and this can be the final result that you can make easily within just one node. So these are the results that you can get with different approaches. I admit that this one is the best, at least in my opinion, because it just stands out. The other ones just have too much going on with no focus. That's it for today. If you found the video helpful and would like to see more DaVinci Resolve content, subscribe to the channel. I'm Simon, and until next time, Jackal, keep it digital.